and a particular canto, a section of Dante's Inferno, the canto of Ulysses. He not only needs to remember it, he needs to teach it to Jean, just as Sonny's piano playing teaches us something about triumph and liberation. He needs to teach it. So he needs to remember it, which he's having a hard time doing. Primo Levi, this chemist, cast into this role in this concentration camp, needs to remember it. And then he needs to translate it into French, because Jean does not speak Italian. And Primo is struggling with his memory. And yet, it is the most important thing in the world for him to remember this. The Canto of Ulysses. Who knows how or why it comes into my mind? But we have no time to change. This hour is already less than an hour. If Jean is intelligent, he will understand. He will understand! Today I feel capable of so much. Who is Dante? What is the comedy, the commedia? That curious sensation of novelty which one feels if one tries to explain briefly what is the Divine Comedy, how the Inferno is divided up, what are its punishments. Virgil is reason, Beatrice is theology. Jean pays great attention, and I begin slowly and accurately. Then, of that age-old fire, the loftier horn began to mutter and move as a wavering flame, wrestles against the wind and is overworn, and like a speaking tongue vibrant to frame, language, the tip of it flickering to and fro, threw out a voice and answered, "When I came!" Here I stop and try to translate. Ulysses, about whom Primo Levi is speaking, is sentenced to hell. And not just to hell. He is way down in hell. He is down in the 8th circle of hell. There are only 9. Satan is in 9, along with Judas and a number of other very bad people. Ulysses is in circle 8. He's way, way, way down. And yet, he evokes something in Primo Levi. Here I stop and try to translate. Disastrous! Poor Dante, poor French! All the same, the experience seems to promise well. Jean admires the bizarre simile of the tongue, and Ulysses, by the way, is enveloped in fire for eternity, and so his tongue is a tongue of flame, and suggests the appropriate word to translate age old. And after, when I came, nothing, a hole in my memory. Before Aeneas ever named it, another hole. A fragment floats into my mind, not relevant. Nor piety to my old father, not wedded love that should have comforted Penelope. Is that correct? So on the open sea I set forth. Of this I'm certain. I'm sure. I can explain it. To the piccolo is what he calls him, a piccolo. To the piccolo. I can point out why I set forth is not jamais me. It is much stronger and more audacious. It is a chain which has been broken. It is throwing oneself to the other side of a barrier. We know that impulse well. The open sea. Piccolo, Jean. Piccolo has traveled by sea and knows what it means. It is when the horizon closes in on itself, free, straight ahead, simple. And there is nothing but the smell of the sea. Sweet things, ferociously far away. We have arrived at Kraftwerk, where the cable laying commando works. Engineer Levy must be here. Here he is. One can only see his head above the trench. He waves to me. He is a brave man. I have never seen his morale low. He speaks of eating. Open sea, I know it rhymes with left me. And that small band of comrades that never left me. But I cannot remember if it comes before or after. And the journey as well, the foolhardy journey beyond the pillars of Hercules. How sad. I have to tell it in prose, a sacrilege. I have only rescued 2 lines, but they are worth stopping for. That none should prove so hardy to venture the uncharted distances. To venture! I had come to the lager to realize that it is the same expression as before I set forth. But I say nothing to Jean. I'm not sure it's an important observation. How many things there are to say. The sun's already high, midday's near. I'm in a hurry, a terrible hurry. Here, listen, Piccolo. Open your ears and your mind. You have to understand, for my sake. Think of your breed. For brutish ignorance your metal was not made. You were made men to follow after knowledge and excellence. As if I was also hearing it for the first time. Like the blast of a trumpet, like the voice of God. For a moment I forget who I am and where I am. Piccolo begs me to repeat it. How good Piccolo is. He is aware that it is doing me good. Or perhaps it is something more. Perhaps the wan translation and the pedestrian rushed commentary. Through this he has received the message. He has felt that it has to do with him. That it has to do with all men who toil. And with us in particular. It has to do with us too, who dare to reason of things with the poles for soup on our shoulders. My little speech made everyone so keen, and I try but in vain to explain how many things this keen means. There is another lacuna here, this time irreparable. The light kindles and grows beneath the moon, or something like it, but before it. Now that I'm near, keine Ahnung, as they say here. Forgive me, Piccolo. I have forgotten at least 4 triplets. Ce ne fait rien. Vas-tu demain? What at last hove up a mountain, gray with distance, and so lofty and so steep I had never seen the like of it on any day. Yes, so lofty, so steep, not very steep. A consecutive proposition. And the mountains, when one sees them in the distance, the mountains, oh, Piccolo, say something. Speak, do not let me think of my mountains which used to show up against the dusk of evening as I returned by train from Milan to Turin. Enough. One must go on. These are things that one thinks about but does not say. Piccolo waits and looks at me. I would give today's soup to know how to connect the like on any day to the last lines. I try to reconstruct it through the rhymes. I close my eyes, I bite my fingers, but it's no use. The rest is silence. Other verses dance in my head. The sodden ground, belched wind. No, it's something else. It is late. It is late. We have reached the kitchen. I must finish. And 3 times round she went in roaring smother. With all the waters at the 4th the poop rose, and the prow went down, as pleased another. I keep Piccolo back. It is vitally necessary and urgent that he listen, that he understand this, as pleased another, before it is too late. Tomorrow, he or I might be dead. Or we might never see each other again. I must tell him. I must explain to him about the Middle Ages, about the so human and so necessary and yet unexpected anachronism, but still more, something gigantic that I myself have only just seen, in a flash of intuition. Perhaps the reason for our fate, for our being here today. I want to read to you the passage from Dante that he cannot remember, because it's a terrific passage. Ulysses is in hell. He has been cursed for any number of reasons, but he is among the deceivers. And Dante comes to him in hell, and they